Hello, my name is Jessica, and thank you for joining me. So, in our practice today, we are going to really work on a series of back bends, but to get there, we're going to use a bunch of standing poses to get there. And this sequencing philosophy is really based off of the work of Iyengar Teacher Michelle LaRue. I've been taking quite a few classes with her, and that seems to be an Iyengar way of doing it. So, to get into that, we're going to do some preparatory stuff to prepare for our standing poses. So please make sure you've got at least a blanket, 2 blocks, and a strap. And then we'll start with a bit of prop setup. So you can take your blocks and your strap off to the side for a little bit, and you'll start by taking your blanket. And the first thing that you'll do is try to make sure your blanket is like this. So mine is folded basically 1/4 of its standard size. And then you're going to take the fringe side and neatly and compactly roll it in. And for many of the poses that we do using the blanket, you want to make sure that you always make it as compact as well as wrinkle-free as possible. It's like a princess and the pea situation. It really does have an impact on the experience. So make that as best as you can. And then you're going to plant your blanket in the middle of your space. From there, you'll turn around, and I want you to hold on to your blanket roll and shift your pelvis forward enough until you can feel the backs of your shoulders are on the back of the blanket. And then from there, clasp the hands behind the back of your head. And you're going to start by just allowing the back of the rib cage to press into the blanket roll, and then start to push your hands into your head as you support the head with the hands and start to descend the head towards the floor. And if you're tight like me behind the shoulder blades, this already feels like a lot. And so if that's the case, you might decide that you need to put one of your blocks underneath your head or another blanket, or conversely, you might be able to get the head all the way down to the floor. And wherever you happen to be, you'll take a moment to pause, letting the head rest either on the floor or on the support beneath it, and then extend your arms up and overhead. And this comes from Jenny Lofton. She's a yoga teacher as well as a nurse practitioner. We're just going to work on some flexion and extension. So you'll inhale your arms up towards the sky, and then you'll exhale and reach the arms alongside your ears. And this doesn't have to be pretty. This doesn't have to look like anything. And then inhale, bring the hands back up to center, and then exhale, a little twist to the left. And inhale, center, and exhale, a little twist to the right. And inhale, center, and we'll repeat that again. So exhale, arms going up and overhead, and you're pushing the back of the body into that blanket. And inhaling up, and then exhaling maybe to the right this time. And inhaling up through center, and then exhaling over to the left. And then inhaling up through center. And you'll do that 2 more times, just following your own breath. And what we're really trying to work is trying to open up the spine by finding a little bit of rotation, a little bit of extension in the shoulder joint, a little bit of flexion in the shoulder joint. And depending upon how you're feeling, this might be quite intense, or it might be a welcome reprieve. Wherever you're at, you're just allowing your body to breathe. You're allowing yourself to play with things as they're going. Awesome sauce. Okay, and then you'll make your way back to center. Now, once you're back to center, let's extend up through the fingers. So the arms are reaching straight up, perpendicular to the floor. From there, you might need to push the backs of your rib cage down and then suck the heads of the arm bones straight down. So now it feels like your chest is suddenly very weird. And then from there, you'll start to extend the arms up and overhead, maybe bringing the hands to the back or bringing the hands to the floor. You might interlace the hands at this point and send the heels of the hands away from you, but you're going to continue to draw the front ribs in and back. And if this already feels like a lot, by all means, stay here and just work on breathing. Otherwise, you might start to extend one leg long, flexing through that foot, keeping the leg really parallel, and then extend through the other leg long, flexing through that foot, keeping the leg really parallel. And again, tailbone is scooping down towards your heels. The front ribs are drawing into the back body. The heels of the hands or arms are reaching up and away from the rib cage. And then you're noticing if you can breathe. And with that blanket roll in the back of the body, see if you can send the breath there. And you've just got 2 to 3 more fun, juicy breath cycles here, breathing into wherever you feel that bit of compression, a bit of pressure from the blanket, as well as tightness perhaps from the body. Awesome sauce. Gently release the hands, bend your knees and plant one foot and then the other foot on the floor. And then you'll start to roll over towards one of your sides. And you'll pause here with that blanket roll underneath your armpit. And it's really ideally underneath the armpit area, somewhere between, well, right underneath your shoulders. And then the hand that's on top will come in front and you'll start to just roll a little bit forward and back. And suddenly we're massaging, well, depending upon where you are with that blanket roll, when you're coming a little bit more forward, you're getting a little bit of pec major perhaps, pec minor. You might also be getting your serratus anterior when you're directly in the middle. And when you're going a little bit towards the back, you might be getting your lats. And so you're just going to roll here a little bit for 3 to 4 more breath cycles, noticing how this feels in your body. And I don't know about you, but I've been doing a lot of sitting lately. So these muscles tend to get tight. And so we're just trying to open up them so that they can help us breathe in an efficient manner instead of a overly contracted manner. And you'll just take about 1 more breath cycle here or pass, rolling forward and back. And then you'll gently make your way onto the other side. And again, you might need to adjust a little bit so that blanket is roughly underneath your armpit, shoulder blade area. The arm that's on top, that hand comes in front of you, and then you'll start to roll a little forward and back. And because this is a recording, at any point in time, if you feel like you'd rather pause and hang out here for a while, by all means, please do so. We're doing a little bit of mild fascial release to open things up, and sometimes it just feels really awesome to spend more time here. So now we'll just take 1 more breath cycle, 1 more pass, going forward and back. You may be finding a fun spot and hanging out there for the last breath cycle instead. And then gently, as we're moving on, if you need to, again, pause if you want. Otherwise, we'll start to roll more towards the chest, press into that top hand, release the bottom hand, and draw yourself up to sit. Now, once you're vertical, you'll most likely need to unroll your blanket and plant that in the middle of your space. And then I highly encourage you to take both of your blocks and put them roughly alongside your hips. You might need them in a moment. And then come forward to hands and knees and separate your knees about hip distance apart. Take your left foot over towards the right, lift the right foot up, bring the top of the right foot into the sole of your left foot, and then you'll start to press your pelvis back. You can then put your hands on those blocks or not. You might also lift the right leg up, press the right foot into the inner arch of the left foot and start to drag the right foot towards the left big toe. Nice. Navicular stretch a la Christina Sell. And then come forward and we'll switch sides. So take your right foot to the left, lift the left foot up, top of the left foot into the right foot, and then you'll start to walk yourself back. So spine is vertical, maybe. And then you'll maybe lift that left knee and push the left top of the foot into the arch of the right foot, dragging it towards the right big toe. And for me, this one's always a fun, very fun stretch. I always find something. Awesome. And then go ahead and come forward, hands and knees. Walk your knees, ankles, and shins together. Tuck both sets of toes under and then start to push your pelvis back towards your heels. You might choose to stay right here, saying this is enough of a stretch along the plantar fascia region of my foot. Or you might start to crawl yourself up to vertical. If you do come to vertical, please adjust and make sure the pinky toes are tucked under. And then we'll take whatever arm variations feel good to you. So you might take Garudasana arms and just do a few little shoulder shrugs up and down here, paying attention to whether or not you're breathing and seeing if you can return to a calm, steady breath. And if you've taken the Garudasana arms, go ahead and switch arms. You might also choose to do something else. You might interlace the hands at the low back. You might choose to just take a seated position with your arms out or up or whatever, but you've got 3 to 4 more breath cycles. Doing whatever feels best to you, moving the head around perhaps, just to help allow this movement or moment rather, to create the opportunity to open up other parts of the body as we're opening up the soles of your feet. Great, you've got 1 more breath cycle here, so go ahead and finish up with anything that feels appropriate for you. And then we'll shift forward, hands and knees, tops of the feet to the floor, pitter patter your toes against the floor, having a happy little temper tantrum if that suits you. Conversely, you'll shift your weight back and lift 1, the other, or both knees up and away from the floor, depending upon how that feels in your knees, shins, and ankles. Great. And then you'll shift forward, tuck the toes under, start to push your butt back, walk your hands back, and you'll find yourself at the back of your space in a forward fold. It's at this moment that the blocks might be handy if it feels like the floor is really far away from you, and you'll just put your hands on the blocks. And then from there, let's start to bend one knee and then the other, shifting the hips, perhaps a little right to left. You might find that you can also create what's called a figure 8. A figure 8 that's parallel to the floor, or an ellipses, not an ellipses. Maybe it's an ellipses, can't remember right now. The infinity symbol. And you'll just notice what you notice as you move around here for a bit. And then let's find ourselves in a still neutral spot. Go ahead and take that block or one of your blocks and slide it in between your shin bones on the second setting. From here, make sure your feet are parallel towards one another, lightly hug into your block. Inhale, halfway lift. Press your palms into the tops of your shins and extend your spine forward until it's parallel to the floor. From here, pause, lightly hug into the block. Press into the balls of your feet, press into the heels of your feet, and then send your inner thighs back, but lightly hug your glutes in. Great. From here, bring your hands to your hips, and then draw the shoulders onto the back. Reach the sternum forward, but lengthen the tailbone and pubic bone back. Draw the front ribs in, and on your next in-breath, go ahead and come all the way up to vertical. Now, once you reach vertical, if you feel a little dizzy, you tuck your chin to your chest and lift your sternum up, and then lightly pull down into the hips. Release your hands alongside your hips, and then take a moment to internally and externally rotate the palms. So it just means your whole arm turns forward and back. And we're just noticing what that feels like in the shoulder joint. And then we'll add on. Turn both palms to face forward, anatomical neutral, and then inhale, sweep your left arm up and overhead. And as you exhale, you'll bend your left elbow and grab your left elbow with your right hand. Now, from here, I want you to notice if you can keep a slight bend in your knees. Push your left elbow to the left, draw it into the right, and then hug your front ribs back as you lengthen your tailbone down, scoop your pubic bone up. So it's almost like you could still push your back ribs into that blanket as you extend up through the crown, hug into the block, and lengthen the tailbone down towards the floor. You've got 2 more breath cycles here. Soften any tension in your face and across your eyes, and just notice what you notice. Next in breath, reach up through your right arm, reach up through your left, and exhale, arms open out to the side. We'll go ahead and try all of that on either side. So inhale, sweep your right arm up and overhead. As you exhale, bend your right elbow and grab your right elbow with your left hand. Now again, slight squish in the knees, hug into your block, tailbone draws down, pubic bone draws up, front ribs pull back. Now press out into the right elbow and pull in with the left hand. And just notice what you notice here. That was a lot of cues very quickly. And so it's okay if you didn't get all of them. We'll get some of them, and that eventually builds over time. Take 2 more breath cycles here. And then very gently, you'll inhale, reach out through your left, reach out through your right, and exhale, open the arms out. Allow the arms to just settle alongside your hips for a while, and just let the shoulders drop down. Okay, adding on. Inhale, bend your knees, and see if you can touch the floor with your fingers. As you exhale, you'll start to hinge forward, and it's not really, your arms will just reach forward, and then and see if you can bring them all the way up to sit in chair pose. Squeeze your block for dear life. Hug your pubic bone to your navel, and then reach out through your fingers and up through the crown of your head. Take one more breath cycle in here. On your next exhale, we'll hinge at the hips and reach forward through the hands, keeping the spine as long as it can be, as long as it can be. And then the hands will come alongside your feet. You'll let your head drop towards the floor and maybe look back at your buttocks. From here, start to crawl yourself forward into Phalangasana, plank pose. And we'll take a moment to pause here in plank. And this is our first plank of the day. So push down through the hands, hug the outer shoulders back, and then lengthen back through the tailbone as you scoop your pubic bone in. Lightly hug your block and see if you can reach the sternum 1 inch forward by isometrically pulling back on the hands. Take in a deeper breath. And on your next exhale, bend your knees. Start to crawl your hands back towards your feet. And suddenly we're back at the back of our mat, Uttanasana, forward fold. Nice work. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, stay. Draw your hands to your hips. Bend your knees, send your butt back, your knees forward, your spine up, chair pose. And then this time for chair pose, let's bring our hands to our low back. Draw the shoulders up to your ears and draw the shoulder blades onto your back body. Inhale, send the arms down, but see if you can draw the shoulder blades more close towards each other. Sternum lifts, gaze lifts. Take one more breath cycle here. And one more breath out. Inhale, push through the feet, stand up tall. And exhale, lengthen tailbone down, draw pubic bone in and release your hands. Nice work. Okay, let's do that again. So hands will come behind your back, awkward opposite interlace. Inhale, bend your knees, sit your buttocks back, Utkatasana, chair pose. Hug those outer shoulder blades together so the sternum lifts, the heart lifts. Draw pubic bone navel and see if you can lengthen up through the ears as you soften down through the shoulders. Nice work. Next, exhale, hinge at the hips, keep the knees bent though. So we're coming back to that same position. This time we're gonna pause. In this position, you'll start to straighten your legs and start to dip your head towards your shin bones, coming into Uttanasana with the hands behind the low back. Reach the arms up, but soften the shoulders away from the ears and see if you can let your head dangle downward. Hug the shoulder blades onto the back. And on your next exhale, hands come to your tuchus. They slide down the legs and down towards the floor. From here, start to crawl yourself forward to plank pose once again, Phalangasana. Now this time as you come into plank, you might be like, yep, this is where I'm at and this is where I'm staying. And yay, you do that. Option number 2 is to lower your knees to the mat, keeping your spine as long as you can. So one long lever from your knees, through your bum, through your heart, through your head. So your spine's on a diagonal. You'll take a breath in here. On your next exhale, bend the elbows and lower into a chaturanga type position. And you'll hold here, lengthening tailbone back, reaching sternum forward and breathe for 3. Breathe for 2, press down into your hands, hug the elbows in for 1. And next in breath, press up through the arms, lift up through the thighs, back to plank pose, squeezing your block, lengthening tailbone back. Next exhale, bend the knees and start to crawl your hands back to a forward fold back of your space. Hello, happy days, Uttanasana assembly. This feels a lot better than chaturanga prep. Nice work. Inhale, halfway lift, heart and sternum reach forward. As you exhale, hands come to your hips, stand that halfway lift. Inhale, bend your knees, sit your tuchus back, chair pose, and you'll pause here. This time, our hands will come to our heart center, and they'll come into what's called Padma Mudra. So the fingers sort of just open up like a lotus. And this is just to help us notice the different orientations. So from here, the arms will start to reach up and flower out like a lotus. And your arms will extend as your bum sits down for chair pose. Hug the outer hips, squeeze your block, lengthen the tailbone, and then see if you can lift your sternum up. And take one more breath in. And next exhale, stand tall, hands reverse back to Anjali Mudra. And you'll take a moment to pause. Tailbone descent, pubic bone lifts, slight squish in your knees. Great. And we'll try that once again. So reverse engineering it. You'll bend your knees. Hands will stay at heart center, but the fingertips, well, All the fingertips except for the thumb and the pinky finger will separate. And then they'll reach up and overhead like a tree growing or a lotus growing. Take a breath in here. And then exhale, hinge at the hips, fingers come down towards the floor alongside your feet. From there, inhale, crawl yourself forward into Thalangasana, plank pose once again. Now we're here, you've got three options. Option number one is to stay here and plank, be like, yep, this is where I'm at, this is where I'm breathing, great. Option number two is to lower your knees and take the previous version of the chaturanga with the knees bent. Option number three is to keep those legs long and strong, and we'll lower down and hold for 3. Shoulders back, ears away from shoulders for 2. Tailbone back for 1. Happily squeeze your block. And then inhale, straighten the arms. And exhale, start to crawl back to the back of your space. And oh, buddy man, wasn't that fun? Now, once you're at the back of your space, Uttanasana, go ahead and remove your block. And then we'll take Utkatasana one last time. So inhale, halfway lift, palms press into the shins, spine lengthens forward, chin tucks to chest just a little bit. As you exhale, hands come to your hips. Bend your knees, lift the spine, sit the pelvis, and then exhale, push through the feet, stand up tall. This time as you stand up, I want you to shift all of your weight to your left leg, like you're pouring sand into it, and that suddenly makes the right leg float up. Hands can come to the front of the right shin and pull the knee in. You can also choose to keep your hands on your hips, but we'll take a few little ankle circles here, just noticing what you notice in the ankle joint, noticing what you notice in terms of the mobility of your body. And then you'll lower the right foot down. And again, it's this whole image of like an hourglass from days of our lives. The sand pours into the right leg, and that allows the left leg to just float up. And hands can come to the front of the shin bone again, and maybe you circle the ankle a few times one way, and then circle the ankle a few times the other way. Then you'll gently release that. And do that one more time. This time, as you pour the weight into the left foot, the right leg floats up and both hands come to the top of your right thigh. And you're gonna push your hands into your thighs. You kick your thigh into your hands. And you'll notice that we're engaging our hip flexors now on the right side, and that's making balance on the left side a little bit more challenging. So see if you can just breathe as I try to breathe with you. And then gently release. And we'll try that on the other side so the weight pours, the sand pours into the right leg. And that imagery really does help. So see if you can play with that. And then push left thigh into hands as you push hands into left thigh. Great. Go ahead and release that. Take a moment to examine your space, and you're going to need to probably move all of your props aside. I'm going to move my mat. You don't need to move your mat. You can keep your mat, but we'll go ahead and step our feet out so they're about 3 feet apart. Okay, then we'll extend our arms out parallel to the floor. You'll reach out through your middle fingers and then spiral your pinky fingers down and forward until your palms face up. From here, extend out through both feet, lengthen your tailbone down, and inhale, sweep up through your left arm. As you exhale, we'll take a little side bend to the right. So you're reaching out to the right, and you're lowering your right hand, possibly to the right thigh, maybe to the right calf, but we want to try to avoid the knee. And then you'll lengthen the tailbone down, wrap your right ribs under and forward, left ribs up and back, and take a long breath into your left side body. Next in breath, go ahead and come up. And we'll try that on the other side. Palms radiate up, reach up through your right arm. A little tick-tock over to the left. And then lengthen tailbone down. Left ribs forward and under, right ribs up and back. Nice work. Go ahead and inhale and come up. This time, you'll reach out through both of your hands, and I will encourage you to step your left foot forward a bit. Turn your left toes to the left, turn your right or left toes to the right, right toes to the right, and then extend out through both of your arms. And you're going to reach out and up to lift your arms up and overhead. And see if you can root down through the feet by pushing from the pelvis down as you lift up through the arms. And then we'll start to rotate your left ribs forward, your right ribs back, and suddenly we're facing towards the right leg. Now you might need to turn your left heel out a bit as you start to bend into your front knee, your right knee, and then draw the low belly in. Reach up through the arms, and we're suddenly in warrior one. Nice work. Inhale, straighten the front leg. Turn the right toes to the left. Step the left foot back a little bit. Turn the left or right toes to the left. Turn the left toes to the left. And then you'll start to reach out through the legs again. Reach up through the arms. Wrap your right rib cage forward, your left rib cage back. Start to bend into that front knee. So your left knee, you might need to adjust that back heel, your right heel a little bit more. Hug the feet in. Reach up through the arms and soften any tension around your neck. Nice work. Inhale, come back up. Turn your left toes back to the right. And then notice that we've had our arms over our head for a really long time. So we'll go ahead and open the arms out to the side and just take a moment to pause here and notice any relief that brings. Soften the shoulders down the back as you lift up through the heart. And then we'll try that all again. So step your left foot forward a little bit. Turn your left toes to the right. Turn your right toes to the right. Now this time you'll bend out through that front leg and take warrior two. And you might need to inchworm your back foot back a little bit. And then you'll reach out through your front arm and lower the front elbow to the top of your front thigh. Still extending out through your back arm. Extend it out and back and overhead. So it'll reach away from you to come over your ears. And then you push into the right forearm. You push into the right foot. Push into the left foot and see if you can wrap your right ribs under, soften the right shoulder as you reach out through the left fingers. Nice work. Inhale, come back up to warrior two. Straighten both legs, turn your right toes to the left, step your left foot back, right foot forward, turn the right toes to the left toes to the left, and then think of extending out through the inner thighs to open to warrior two. And you might need to inchworm your back foot back a little bit. From there, you'll extend out through the left arm again, and maybe left forearm comes to top of left thigh. You might be able to bring your fingers to the floor. But then you'll reach out through the right arm, up and overhead, and you'll take a big, steady breath here, drawing the outer left hip back, squeezing the feet towards each other as you ripple the left rib cage forward, right rib cage back and on top. Nice work. Inhale, come up. Turn both feet to parallel. And then we'll try all that again. So left foot comes forward. Turn the left toes to the left, to the right. Turn the right toes to the right. And from here, you'll start to extend out through both arms. And in this one in particular, we want to make sure we took that back foot forward because as you reach out through your right arm, your pelvis will be a little bit more parallel to the floor. From there, you can bring the right hand to the inside edge of the right foot, push into the outside edge of the left foot, that's the back foot, and then lengthen tailbone and crown away from each other. From there, start to press right shin bone into right outer arm, wrap your right rib cage under your left rib cage, up and back, and then maybe you can peer towards the left a bit as the chest comes forward and the gaze goes up. Uttita Trikonasana. Nice work. Next in breath, reach back through the left arm, come up through vertical, turn the right toes to the left, and you might need to step the right foot forward, turn the right toes to the left toes to the left. Again, reach out through both arms. Start to hinge at the hips. So your left hip is coming back. Your right hip is going forward more than you think. So it's almost like you're going for pyramid pose more so than triangle in this instance. And then if you can bring that left hand to the inside edge of your left shin bone, you can draw the outer left hip back, push the outside edge of your right foot back. Tailbone lengthens back, heart and sternum lengthen forward, and then exhale, push left shin bone, arm into each other to wrap your left rib cage under, your right rib cage up and back, and rotate your rib cage to the right, and gaze might go towards the top hand. Nice work. Next in breath, reach back through the right arm and bring yourself up to vertical. Turn both feet in. Now, depending upon how mobile you are, you might need to walk your feet in. You might leave your feet as they were, but you'll bring your hands behind you and you'll either interlace the hands or take reverse Anjali Mudra. Wherever you are, see if you can keep the shoulder blades on the back, the sternum lifts, slight swish in your knees, And you'll inhale, lift the sternum up. And then exhale, start to hinge forward about halfway. And you'll pause here halfway. Keep the knees slightly bent. Sternum reaches forward, chin tucks slightly into neck, and tailbone reaches back. Now, take another breath in here. And on your next exhale, you'll start to hinge all the way in. Press into the knife edge of your feet. Let your head drip towards the floor. And you might keep the hands behind the back body, or bring the hands to your bum, slide them down the legs, and bring your fingers down to the floor. But you'll take about 3 to 5 breaths here, just noticing what you've noticed. We did a lot of asymmetrical poses in a row, and so we're just coming to a bit of symmetry to find balance. Nice work. All right. If your hands are behind you, please bring them to your pelvis, slide them down your legs, and bring them to the floor. From there, let's all walk. Let's all, you and me, let's walk our hands underneath our shoulders and lift our spine halfway. Now, just as we did in that forward fold, let's see if you can pull your heart and sternum forward, and then isometrically push your shins forward as though your hands were on your shins. From here, bring one hand to one hip, the other hand to the other hip, draw the shoulder blades onto your back. And next in-breath, come all the way up to vertical. Great. Okay. From here, you can either step or hop your feet together. Cool. Great. And then from here, you'll step back to probably the back of your space. And we'll add on. So standing in the back of the space, that whole imagery we had of the sand at the beginning. So you're going to imagine that all of the sand is now pouring back into your left leg. So your right leg just floats up. Hands come to heart center. And then we're going to confidently step forward on that right leg like a man in the moon. And then you'll notice that you can start to shift onto the toes of the back foot. From here, with your hands at your heart center, you'll start to push your sternum into your thumbs and hinge at the hips, keeping the spine as parallel, as strong as it can be. And then the leg, the back leg, the left leg will lift as much as it wants to towards warrior 3. But keep your hips square to the floor, tailbone lengthens back towards that foot, and heart lengthens forward. Nice work. And then you'll gently come up, lowering the toes back to the floor and stepping back to the other foot. Cool. We'll try that again. So on the other side, so the weight pours to the right. And that imagery really finds a sense of groundedness. And then it's like the psoas muscle on the left side can work effervescently because we're not trying to hike the leg up. Hands stay at heart center. Confidently step forward like the man on the moon into the left leg. Starting to pour the weight now back into the left leg. Now pushing the sternum forward, you're hinging at your hips, and that leg and the torso and the skull is working as one complete unit like we did in plank pose. And you're keeping the hips parallel, you're hugging the outer left hip back, lengthening back through your whole inner right thigh. And then you'll gently hinge back up, right toes touch the floor, and step back. Cool. Now, from here, you are going to just keep your feet parallel as I replace my mat. If you took your mat apart, then you might want to put your mat back too. But with your feet parallel, you're going to bend your knees as much as you can and pop a squat. This is called primitive squat. And it's good for most of us in the Western world because we don't really sit like this. So you might find that you're like, yeah, Jessica, that's great that you can sit like that, but I can't. So if you notice that your heels will not get to the floor, go ahead and put a blanket underneath your heels, because ideally we want to keep our feet parallel. We're not going for malasana. We're really trying to stay with the knees and ankles and hips all in one alignment. And then from here, you might just drop your chest towards, or your head towards your chest, and reach out through your arms. And we're just noticing that this is taxing the ankles and the knees in a very different way than what we may be ordinarily accustomed to. And then from here, you'll start to slowly engage the core to lower your bum back to the floor. And once your butt gets to the floor, you'll roll back enough to lift one leg off and the other leg off. And hello, we made it to Navasana. Welcome. And you might hold on to your legs and be like, yep, that's where I'm at today. Awesome sauce. You might release your arms alongside your thighs, alongside your shins, but we'll see if we can flex through our toes and imagine you're hugging into a block. And if you really want to, you can put a block there. It makes it a little bit more challenging, but you choose to do what you want. And then shoulders slide away from the ears. And we'll take 3 more breath cycles here. Top of sacrum is drawing in and forward. Pubic bone is just drawing in towards our navel, and we're breathing. And we're smiling, and we're breathing, and we're smiling. For 2 and for 1. Awesome sauce. Gently lower your feet to the floor. And then you'll bring your hands to the backs of your thighs. And slowly, 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 slowly lower all the way down to your back. And when you get down to the back, you'll need to make sure your strap is somewhere easily accessible. And bend your knees even more so that your feet are firmly planted on the floor. From here, you'll grab your strap. You'll draw your left knee into your chest and put the ball of your foot into the strap. Now, once you've done that, you'll want to make sure that you're holding the strap one side in each hand. So it enables the shoulder blades to be a little bit wider. And first, we're going to work for what's called a perpendicular leg, so 90-degree angle. And you'll push the sole of your left foot up towards the sky. You'll push the left ball and pinky toe of the foot into the strap. You'll send the left heel up. And the energy for the left heel is coming from the left sit bone. So it's like the whole back of the leg fires up. And as you do that, notice if you can then draw the top of the left thigh away from your abdomen by drawing your pubic bone towards your belly button, finding space there. Now, if all that's going pretty well, I want you to perhaps play with extending your right leg long on the floor beneath you. And again, we're trying to have both legs active. So the right foot is as active as the left. So you're spreading through all those toes on the right side, out through the inner and outer edge of the foot. You're pressing the back of the right thigh and calf into the floor as much as you're kicking forward in the left calf and left thigh. And then you're seeing if you can keep the legs parallel as you scoop pubic bone and navel. Nice work. Now from here, you might bring both hands to the top, or rather both hands. Bring your left hand to hold both ends of the strap. And depending upon your mobility, you might be able to grab pretty close to the foot. So we want to keep that. And then your right hand will come to the top of the right thigh for just a moment to push down as you kick up. Keep scooping pubic bone to belly button, but lengthening top of left thigh away from you. Now go ahead and open the right arm out to the right, maybe T or cactus, depending upon space as well as mobility. And then you'll turn your left heel in, left toes out, and start to open the left leg to the left. Now, as the left leg goes to the left, you want to see if you can keep your arm and leg hovering off the floor. And to do that means that you need to scoop the belly in and wrap the belly from the left to the right, keeping the whole right half of the body really rooted into the floor as you open up through that left leg. Nice job. Next in breath, you'll go ahead and come up through center. And then gently bend that left knee and release your strap and draw the knee into your chest for a bit of compression before releasing the foot to the floor. From there, draw the right knee in. And we'll do all of that on the other side. So you'll draw your right knee into your chest. Put the ball of the foot into the strap and then send the foot up towards the sky. Now from here, pull down with both ends of the strap, send the foot up, and see if you can engage that whole right quadricep. Nice work. And then send the right sit bone up to the right heel to the ceiling, right big toe to the ceiling, right pinky toe to the ceiling. And if all that's working for you, soften the shoulders away from your ears and perhaps play with extending your left leg long. And then find all that activation in the left leg. So we're only going for perpendicular here because it really does two functions. It really resets the spine, but it also helps us just be okay with working at an angle. It doesn't actually seem that hard, but in ballet land, this is the hardest point to work is at a 90-degree angle because that's where gravity is the greatest. Granted, in this orientation, probably not the same pace, but I think it might be. Cool. Now we're going to start to walk our right hand up towards the right foot so that the right arm can stay straight. The left hand will come on top of the left thigh to just push that part down, and you'll draw the top of your right thigh away from you even more. Now you might open out that right arm, cactusing it or teeing it, and start to your left arm. Spin your right heel in and your right toes out. Keeping the left side of the body rooted, open the right leg to the right and scoop the right low belly to the left. So we're trying to scoop the belly in the opposite direction of the leg so that that creates the power. So that the right leg and arm do not touch the floor. We're using our core strength to go to our end range of motion. And then keep pushing out from the right sit bone to the right heel. Hello, inner right thigh. Good, inhale, come back up to vertical. Bend the right knee, remove your strap, hug the knee in a little bit closer, and then release the foot to the floor. Okay, from here, go ahead and cactus your arms out to the side. And we'll actually take a moment to pause here. Grab your block and bring your block between your legs. We want to put it between our shin bones, and it can be on the first or second setting, and then interlace your hands at your low back. Now we've got three options here. Your hands can remain at the back of your skull. You can tuck your chin to your chest and lift your shoulders up and away from the floor, looking towards your navel and your pubic bone. Or you can bring your hands to your low back if you're already aware that your low back has sensitivities. So we're going to do a little bit of these little leg lower things. So first things first, find your arm position. Second thing second, you'll start to straighten your legs up so they're perpendicular to the floor. Now, extend out through your toes like you're in a Barbie high heel, so Barbie floint your feet. Hug into that block. Now, as you exhale, start to scoop your tailbone up and hug into that block even more. Inhale, lengthen pubic bone to belly button. And exhale, squeeze your block, lift your tuchus a little higher. Nice work. Now, inhale, reach your feet forward about a third of the way. As you exhale, squeeze the block. Inhale, scoop tailbone and lower the feet. Exhale, squeeze your block, lengthen tailbone even more. Inhale, lower the legs. And exhale, squeeze the block. Last time, inhale, hovering the feet just above the floor. And exhale, coming all the way up. And we'll do that about 3 times. So the exhale squeezes, and then the inhale lowers the legs towards the floor. Stay there. Exhale, squeeze your block. Lengthen your tailbone towards your feet. And inhale, scoop the pubic bone towards navel. Lower the legs. 2 more times. Inhale, lower. Exhale, squeeze. Hovering off the floor. Inhale, lower. Exhale, squeeze, and inhale, lower, and exhale all the way up. Okay, last time, flex through your feet, squeeze into your block. Inhale, reach your legs away from you. Exhale, stay there, squeeze your block. Inhale, reach the legs away from you. Exhale, stay there, squeeze your block. Inhale, lengthen legs away from you. Exhale, stay there, squeeze your block. This time we're going to hover and hold for 3. Keep breathing for 2. Keep breathing for 1. Last one. And release. Oh, wow, that's nice. And just notice what you notice, all that energy in the body, most likely in your core. And then you'll grab your block, bend your knees, and lie down. Okay. So adding on, cactus the arms back out, push down into the feet and slide your bum over to the right. Hug both knees in towards your chest, flex through the feet, squeeze the knees, ankles, and shins towards each other. And then you'll roll over onto your left side and hover the legs there, seeing if you can keep the right shoulder blade rooted onto the floor for a variation of Japara Parivartanasana. And then inhale, come back up. As you exhale, put your bum down. Lift your pelvis up, slide your pelvis to the left, hug your knees in, squeeze your legs together, flare out through your toes, and then let the legs fall over to the right, hovering a bit, keeping the left shoulder rooted. And you're breathing. And you're breathing. And you're breathing. Nice work. Go ahead and come back up. Replant the pelvis. And we'll take a moment to pause here. Now, if you're really gung-ho, you can go ahead and pause the video and do that again, or we can continue to move on. So you'll extend your legs long and roll over onto your abdomen. And then when you find yourself on your belly button, bring your hands alongside your hips, palms face down. Separate your feet so they're about hip distance apart and press the tops of the feet into the floor. Lengthen your tailbone back and scoop your pubic bone to your belly button. Great. Draw the shoulders up towards your ears and draw the shoulder blades onto your back. As you inhale, reach your sternum forward, reach through the crown of your head and start to lift your head and chest away from the floor. Continue to lengthen back through the tailbone as you push down through the feet. Hug the outer shoulder blades in and reach your heart forward. And we'll stay here for a few breath cycles. Your inner thighs are reaching up towards the sky as you push down into your pinky toes. If this is working for you, you'll just keep lengthening your tailbone back and hang out here. Otherwise, you'll start to float your inner thighs up and away from the floor, reach back through the big toes and reach your heart and sternum forward. If that's working for you, you'll stay there. Otherwise, you'll float your arms up and away from the floor. And keep hugging the shoulder blades onto the back body, and we'll breathe for 3. We'll breathe for 2. And then we'll breathe for 1. Gently lower down. Okay, adding on. Hands come to the back of your head like a happy little hostage. Well, yeah, okay. And then we'll crawl our elbows forward just a little bit. You'll push your head into the backs of your hands. And you'll push the tops of the feet into the floor. Lengthen your tailbone back and scoop your pubic bone in. Next in-breath, heart and sternum will reach forward to lift the head into the hand. And you'll imagine that you can keep working your arms forward. Press into the tops of the feet, keeping length in the low belly and the low back. Great. From here, you might stay here, pressing tops of the feet into the floor, lifting inner thighs up. Or you might reach the feet so far back that they float up and away from the floor. And hold for 3. Hold for 2. And hold for 1. Gently release down. Awesome sauce. Bring your hands alongside your lowest ribs. Now, with your hands alongside your lowest ribs, keep the feet in that parallel-ish position, pressing down into the tops of your feet. Lengthen your tailbone down and scoop your pubic bone to your navel. From here, draw the shoulders up to your ears and draw the shoulder blades onto your back. Notice that you can hug the outer elbows in just a little bit. Now, push down into your hands. You'll pull your hands back and notice that starts to pull your sternum forward. Keep that. Keep pulling your hands back until you can't pull your hands back anymore. So that'll continue to traction the upper thoracic spine forward. Keep pressing into the tops of the feet, keeping the legs active. And you might stay here, hugging those outer elbows in, or you might reach back through the feet and hover them off the floor. But you'll continue to hug outer shoulder blades in, outer elbows in. And you'll notice that the legs lifted, it suddenly gives you a little bit more height in the chest. From there, if you lifted the legs, to put them down and then start to press into your arms, keep the legs active and see if you can lift a little higher through the chest for Bhujangasana, Cobra Pose. Nice work. Reach the heart forward and come all the way down. Nice work. Oh, that's a lot. And then we got one more, well, 2 more actually. So let's go ahead and bend your knees. Grab the outside edges of your ankles. So this is the Iyengar way of life, it seems. You don't ever put the back bends on the floor. You put them all together right in a row. So that's what we're doing right now. All right, so grab the outside edges of your feet, flex through your feet, and press up through the balls of your feet, your little Barbie flanks. Now lengthen your tailbone back. Draw the shoulders up towards your ears and hug those shoulder blades onto your back body. Great. Now when you're ready, you'll start to kick your shins back and you'll start to lengthen your tailbone back and hug the shoulder blades onto the back body, heart and sternum lift, and we'll lift to Dhanurasana, bow pose. Tailbone lengthens back, shin bones press back, shoulders hug together, heart and sternum lift forward. Nice work. And then you'll gently release. Whew. That's a fun heart opener. And then from here, you'll take a moment to pause. Bring one ear to the mat and just breathe. Dhanurasana from an Ayurvedic perspective is said to be very balancing for all the doshas. So for me, bring the other ear to the mat. I notice there's a flash of energy that comes. It's probably more of a fiery pitta nature. Whew, and so you just notice what's going on for you. And then we'll make our way onto our back for our last back bend of the day. Hooray! Okay, now when you come onto your back, you've got options here. You can just be like, yep, Jessica, peace out, I'm done, and do a bridge or a supported bridge. You can also take a Chatuspadasana. So for that one, you're gonna bring your knees into your chest and grab your outer ankles. Make sure your thumbs stay attached to your index finger and then plant your feet on the floor so they're about hip distance apart. So suddenly we're like, oh gosh, I'm in a very compressed position. Yes, you are. And then from here, you'll see if you can wrap one shoulder blade and then the other underneath. And then it feels like your heart is puffing up, especially the thoracic region in the mid-back. From here, start to push down through the feet and lift your hips high. You might walk the shoulder blades underneath a little bit more as you lift the hips. And then start to draw your sternum towards your chin. Yeah, and chin slightly away from your sternum. And you'll take a moment to pause and breathe and notice if there's any unnecessary tension in your neck, and if so, see if you can soften that. Push the feet, lift the hips a little higher. And then when you're ready, keeping the arms as they are, release your pelvis to the floor. Then untuck your shoulders and, oh wow, allow the arms to splay. Great. Now from here, you might just choose to open the legs out into Supta Baddha Konasana for a moment. Or you might choose to set yourself up for Shavasana straight away. The idea is that we want to allow that back bend, that heart opener, to really settle on our nervous system. So pick a pose that enables you to just rest, to soften. Often there are different ways of cueing alignment. In this practice, we've been really working on allowing the external form, so all the alignment cues, to help us be in a pose in a particular way, to enable the pose to reveal something to us. So that's working, in a sense, as Karina Better says it, from outside in. And now in this shape, I'd like you to work the opposite, so inside out, working from what it feels like on the inside to find the most soft and supple position for you to be in. And as always, props are a great assist. And so I encourage you for these last few moments in our practice here to really allow yourself to notice how in this moment of stillness, there's always movement, there's always vitality and life. It's almost like a great metaphor for life that, you know, even when things seem stuck or stagnant, there's always a sense of life to them, a sense of fluidity, of movement. And conversely, even when everything seems chaotic or constantly on the go, there's always a stillness and a presence. So you'll take a few more moments here just on your own, being in stillness or in the acknowledgement and the awareness of the movement in the stillness. And I'll let you know when it's time to come out. Return your awareness to your breath. As you come back to your breath, just take a moment to check in. Notice if there's any part of you that longs to linger in this shape for a few more moments, a few more breaths. And if so, by all means, please hang out here for as long as you'd like. When you are ready to move, you'll start to invite small, gentle movement into your body. Maybe it's a slow, subtle rocking of the head from right to left. Maybe it's some tingling in the fingers or toes. Maybe it's some stretching, wiggling, and yawning. Whatever it is, you're allowing the inner expression to shape the outer form. Gently make your way to one of your sides, coming to a soft, semi-fetal position. And then begin to roll your chest more towards the floor. Press into your top hand. Walk the bottom hand back and draw yourself to a tall seat. When you're vertical, I do encourage you to sit tall and to sit well. And then you'll just take a moment to stack your shoulders over your hips, your ears over your shoulders, to soften any tension around the face, the eyes, the mouth, and the jaw. In this final shape, I invite you to just notice what you notice here. Notice the feel and the quality of the breath. Notice the feel and quality of the mind. And notice the feel and the quality of your heart. Draw your hands to heart center Anjali Mudra. Press the palms into each other. Receive the weight of your thumbs into your sternum and lift your heart towards your hands. The light within me honors and salutes the light within you. Namaste. Thank you for joining me. Please let me know if you have any questions or comments. Otherwise, I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you.